and I'm going to be making a vanilla birthday cake / Halloween themed birthday cake as well. For this, it's just a normal vanilla cake, which obviously normally you have some butter, unsalted, some vanilla extract, obviously your eggs, self-raising flour, some caster sugar, baking powder, some salt, and this one uses milk. I think all of them use milk, but this one does. And then obviously I'm going to be doing some icing, which I'm using some more butter, icing sugar, and I'm going to be doing like a jam ganache thing, I think it's called. And that's obviously going to be like for Halloween, for the blood and that. So some strawberry jam, seedless, some food colouring, some red food colouring dye, some lemon, and I've got some icing writing colour, which I'm going to be using the red, if you can see it in there. I'm going to be using that for the writing for my uncle, because this cake is for my auntie and my uncle. My auntie's birthday is today and my uncle's birthday is tomorrow on Halloween, so that's why it's also going to be Halloween themed as well. It's half normal cake, the other half Halloween themed. So let's get to it, shall we? So obviously you preheat your oven to like 180, maybe 200. Don't want it too hot, don't want it too low, so obviously the cake's going to cook. Then obviously we're going to align our cake trays with some butter. Make sure the butter is room temperature, so that it's easier to line the cake trays, as well as it's easier to obviously mix with the ingredients. Just make sure this is all buttered up, as well as also on the sides, and just make sure it is all done. Obviously don't forget, you've got to do both of them. And these tins are both, they're supposed to be 9 inches, these are just less than 9 inches. That's obviously not really a problem. It's it doesn't matter, it would obviously still fit, but obviously they've got to be about 9 inches for this recipe I'm doing. Right, so they're both obviously all buttered up now. And afterwards, what you do is you grab parchment paper, tear some of it off. If you guys saw my last video, you know that I am terrible at ripping parchment paper. Oh, come on. There we go. And they go too bad this time. And then obviously we put it into a cake tray. Even if it's not completely flat and it's still got some bumps in it, that doesn't really matter. You can cut off the edges if you really wanted to, but because I'm going to be icing this, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. So now they have been all put together. There's a couple of bubbles in the bottom, that doesn't really matter. So after that, you're going to get your butter again, and you're going to just do a little bit of buttering on this, just so the cakes don't stick to your parchment paper, really. Just do a little layer, you don't need to do a big layer, just small. I'm just going to do this to both of them, and then we can start to bake. Right, so obviously first you get your sugar, which I've already put into the bowl, and then you get your butter, and you add them two together, like so. And then after that, you get your spoon and you cream them together. Obviously using a spoon takes so much longer, but I like using a spoon first to do this, so then all the sugar doesn't go flying everywhere. And then afterwards I tend to use the hand mixer, because then it just makes it a little bit more faster. Make sure all of the sugar is obviously creamed in with the butter, otherwise your cake, which I've noticed in the past that I've accidentally done before, I have not mixed in the sugar enough, which I thought I had, and the cake has come out a little bit too granulated because of the sugar. So just give this a mix. Then we can move on to the hand mixer. So after you've done that, obviously scoop down the bowl to get it all off of the sides. Make sure it is nice and creamy, and even after it's all creamy, you still mix it just in case. So it ends up looking, like this, nice and thick. Because you want it to be very, very creamy. Make sure that there is no sugar left whatsoever. So I'll make a tiny little hole. I'm going to set that down, and I'm going to grab one of my eggs. This recipe has 4 eggs, and obviously mix in one at a time. And I found this recipe online. If any of you guys want to go and find it, I will try and put it in the description down below, as well as obviously the Halloween themed cake as well, if you just want to do it from Betty Crocker and all that. But then obviously if you want to do this vanilla cake themed as well, all you have to do really, if I don't end up putting it down below, just Google vanilla cake and you should be able to find any kind of one that you obviously want to make. Obviously it took me a little time before I found this one. Right, so that's 1 egg mixed in. Time for the second one. Make sure you grab all the stuff on the side. That's our second one beaten. Time for our third one. I almost couldn't find another finger then. I was going to do this, but then I was in between, so I was like, yeah. So that looks very weird. That's why. As well as I'm a very weird person, which you guys probably already know that by now. And for the last 4th egg. Sorry about the lighting, guys. It doesn't look that bad in person, but on camera it looks so terrible. I'm very sorry. Right. That's what happens when you want to cook during the afternoon. You know, it doesn't look like sunny out there. It's so bright on the camera. So apologies for that, guys. And there we go. There we have it. All of it is mixed in, and then it's time for the vanilla extract. I am adding in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. That was almost too much though. Came out a bit fast. There we go. Make sure all of it is off the spoon. And now mix that in. And then we have it. That is all our wet ingredients mixed together. Now let's move on to the dry ingredients. Right, so now it's for the dry ingredients. I've got my flour all measured out and ready in here. And we need our baking soda and we need our salt. We're going to mix this together. So baking powder, we need 2.5 tablespoons for this mixture. 2.5, there we go. That's the baking powder done. Now for the salt, and we only need 1/2 teaspoon for this one. Don't want too much salt, it's not going to taste very nice. Now we just give this a stir until everything is combined. There we go. That's all mixed. Now we get our wet ingredients back. Off to the side quick. We get a whisk and we just dollop some of this into the whisk. We don't want too much at a time. There we go. And then we just sieve this in to our wet. There we go. That should be okay for now. There we go. Give this a mix. And remember, because this is a cake, we want it to rise, we are folding in our flour mixture. And sometimes folding it takes a while. And we do have a lot here, so it will get dry. And that is why we have our milk. Because obviously, usually some mixtures, they have the same amount of sugar as well as butter and flour. And because of that, sometimes it's not too dry. But with these cases where you need the milk in the scenario, that means there's more flour than there is the sugar and the butter together, as well as the eggs as well, because the flour is very dry. So all that wet mixture that we had, it's going to turn thick, and obviously we need to make it nice and wet again, or moist, because you can't have it too thick, because then the cake won't rise. And obviously you can't have it too watery, because then it's just going to sink in the middle of the cake. And it's just not going to look nice at all. And you're going to have to redo it all over again. And it's just an absolute nightmare. Which obviously I've never sunk a cake in the middle. I have sunk cupcakes. That's only because I put them in the oven and I didn't give them enough time to sit there and cook. I was a little bit too impatient. I opened up the door way too early and they sunk inwards. So yeah, don't do that. Make sure they have plenty of time in the oven before you think they should come out. And usually they take between 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how hot the oven is and all that kind of stuff. Well, sometimes if you forget to preheat the oven, which I have done, they've taken longer. And obviously you want to do this in about 3 parts, which I have done. Usually I've done a cake before when I've done it 3 parts and then milk 2 parts. But for this recipe it says to obviously do the milk after you've added all this in, or I'm going to do the milk in a bit because this is getting very dry and it's going to be very difficult to mix in the rest of the flour. Right, I think it's time to add in some milk now. This needs 250 millilitres of milk and this is 568. I'm just going to eyeball it. Kind of splashed it a bit. Whoops. I'm just going to mix. And I think now it is time to add in the rest of the flour. I'm just going to scrape down the sides. There we go. Take the spoon out. Just making sure I've got all the flour out of the bowl. Oh, and then start mixing again. Obviously, as I said before, folding the mixture with the flour. Now that was a good eyeball I did there because this cake mixture is absolutely perfect. And as I said, this cake is for my auntie and my uncle's birthday, so I am not going to be tasting it. when I'm at my auntie and my uncle's to surprise them with this cake. They don't know I'm making this for them. They have no idea I'm making this cake for them. So if anyone watches this and they know who my auntie and uncle are, shh, they're not allowed to know. They're not finding out till tomorrow. Right, there we go. It's all mixed in. You guys can't see, but my work surface is a bit of a mess right now. Right, let's get our 2 cake tins back. And let's just eyeball it and pour this mixture in. That's on my hand. Now flatten it out. Obviously, because this lockdown, that's the reason why I'm doing it for them. Because when we're on tier 2 now here in England, we're not allowed to mix families. So obviously, it's not like I'm going around my aunties. I'm only going there to drop the cake off to their faces, probably talk to them for a little bit outside and just have a chat with them because it's their birthday today. And then we have it. 2 cakes ready to go into the oven. There we go. There's 1. And there's 2. Now we're going to leave them until they are cooked, and I will be right back when they are. Right, the cakes are now out of the oven, which you can see over there, and I'm just letting them cool down. And while they are cooling down, let us get on with making our butter icing, shall we? Right, so I don't actually have exact measurements for this, so I'm just going to add as much butter and icing, like sugar icing, that I can, and just hope that it fits the cakes, which it probably will. And even if it doesn't, I could always make some more. It's not too difficult. Be alright. Let's plop that all in. Grab sugar icing. Move that out of the way. As I did with the sugar and the butter before, I'm just going to mix these together at first. Because sugar icing is, as it is sugar icing, it's a powder or icing sugar, however you say it. It's powdery, and what happens with flour when you just add stuff to it? Makes a massive dust cloud, like flour does. And obviously, I do not want this to go everywhere. So, I am... Oh, there goes a dust cloud. If you saw that. I'm just going to mix this together with a spoon. First. Oh, not everywhere. That should be okay. I don't think I need to add water to it. We'll see how it goes, but I haven't done butter icing, butter sugar in so long because I never really liked it, but I'm okay with it now. Right, so after you have your butter icing and it is good consistency, it is also a good taste. You can't really taste the butter that much. What you taste really is the sugar icing, and your sugar icing is done. Butter icing, sorry, is done. So now it's time to decorate these cakes. So we get a cake onto a plate. And after you get it onto the plate, if you want to, you can level it if it's high, or if you want to get rid of all of this on on it, then you can, which I am going to just give it a little level. Let us find. Just want the top layer to come off. There it goes. Just cut through the middle of it. Perfect. There we go. Removed that top layer, which I'll probably eat later on. Now let's just squidge down this little bit of sponge. So this layer is going to be fried jam, and then the other side of the cake, top layer, is going to be butter icing. Not too much, because obviously we need it for the rest. We're not having too much of this, because we are using this afterwards. So let's get a good enough dollop on there. There we go. We can always come back for some more. And then we just spread this out. And that's our jam layer. Now it's for the other cake and the butter icing. So let's grab our butter icing, grab our knife. Don't want too much of this because this is for the rest of the cake. There we go. And let's spread this one around like we did with the other one. There we go. Just be careful, like make sure your cakes have cooled down before you do this. Otherwise it is going to get very runny. There we go. And then we're going to start decorating the top of it. Right, so I've given this a little bit longer to cool down because it was still a little bit hot. My cake kind of broke a little bit, if you can see. Little slice right there. But that's okay. It's not absolutely ruined and anything like that. So obviously I'm just going to ice the top of it now. Oh, let's get the butter icing. Let's plop that on top. There we go. I'm going to use the knife to spread it around. Give it a nice coating. Don't want it to be too thick. You don't want this to be thin because you want it to look nice. And there we have it. I've got it all decorated. I think I've got it all evened. I've tried going around everywhere, evening it out. I'm going to go stick this in the fridge for a little bit, wait for all this to harden, and then we're going to get on with the strawberry ganache thing. It's going to look like the blood. Right, so while our cake is in the fridge, we are going to start to make our strawberry ganache, our blood for our cake and that. So obviously we're going to go to our stove. We're going to turn this onto a medium heat. We are going to add in our jam. We're also going to add in our caster sugar. So I've got the jam, I've got sugar in there. And get some lemon in here. There you go. And after that, we are going to add in our food colouring gel. If you probably saw the other one, this one actually wants the food colouring gel because this needs to be, I think, a bit thick. But next time I'll definitely look everywhere. That looks like 2 teaspoons. Just eyeballing it, to be honest. Oh, it looks so red. Okay, make sure the sugar is dissolved, which it is, I think. Just keep mixing it. I think this is probably going to get it to like thicken up. And we just do this for 6 to 10 minutes or 8 to 10 minutes. Then we will add this obviously after it cools down just a little bit. I want it melting the icing. You got to keep stirring it constantly, otherwise it's just going to stick to the pan and it's just not going to be fun. Probably stop now and then to see how it's coming along. Nice lovely bubbles. Oh, that smells nice. Oh, that really does smell nice. You could probably leave the cake out and obviously like let it cool, well not cool down, you know, like get the stuff get hardened. But I've just stuck it in the fridge. So after I've put this on and it's cooled down a little bit, I probably will put it in the fridge because obviously it needs to be left overnight then to give to my auntie and my uncle tomorrow. So I have cats and they jump on the sides when they shouldn't. They do when we're not here. And they're very cheeky little rascals and I probably will end up getting to the cake. So I don't want to risk it, so that's why I'm sticking it in the fridge. God, it's so weird now because suddenly, since last time we spoke, it was so light outside, which there's still light coming in, but it just looks so dark in here now. Like, so dark. And like, obviously sometimes filming can take a while. And that, obviously, like, I don't live alone, I live with my family, so sometimes it can be a little more difficult to record and things. There's obstacles with recording sometimes. There's little hiccups with the baking or recording and that. Like I had a couple of hiccups where my phone wasn't recording. I had the little hiccup of the cake ripping. I had a little hiccup where the cake wasn't properly cooled down. So the icing started to melt a little bit. So I just stick it in the fridge for a bit until it was done. So yeah, these things do happen. I have seen other professional YouTubers, like, things get in the way all the time and it's just one of those things. But it can obviously happen. Alright, so I have been stirring this for about 8 minutes now, and it is, for me, I feel like at a good consistency. So I'm going to take off the heat for a sec. Right, so I've got the cake, I've got my mixture, which is still quite hot. I don't want it to cool down too much. Right, that's perfect. Right, because I'm only making this cake, half of it and all that, I'm going to try my best. Right, here we go. Oh. It's not too bad. Looks pretty good. It's kind of doing the dripping thing that I wanted. There we go. Right, I'm now going to go pop this back in the fridge. There we go, now that is back in the fridge to start to dry up and all that. And then I will be back to decorate it a little bit more. I'm going to be writing some happy birthday wishes on there. I'm going to be writing their age on there. And obviously I will be back when that is ready for me to finish off the decorating. Hello everyone, sorry this is a bit different than obviously I was doing it. But change of plans, I'm not going to show me writing on the cake with the writing icing because it might spoil the surprise for my auntie and uncle. So obviously I don't want to name names, so it's for their safety, for confidentiality. So obviously I'm not going to record it or anything like that. I'm also not going to record the reactions of them as well because they might not want to be recorded of the taste test. But obviously, if you guys obviously want to know how it tasted now, just write a comment or write in the description how it tasted. But obviously I will be baking another cake, and obviously I'll probably do like a Christmas themed one if you guys want to see that, or another Halloween themed one. I'll try and do a better one this time. It won't be a birthday cake, I'll actually make a Halloween themed cake. I'll cut it and all that kind of stuff. So obviously leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys later.